Welcome to the Zeal podcast, where we explore the creative journey through the lens of fashion, culture, and the stories that shape us. I'm Myah.
And I'm Karina.
Let's get into it.
Another halfway through the season. Let's go.
Halfway through.
How's your week been? How's everything?
It's been good. I'm proud of us. I feel like this has been a very productive year.
Yes.
We started off strong and we remained consistent.
Yeah. Consistency and discipline is what got us here.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. You know, it's been hectic, but we've been working, and I love that for me, and I love that for us. So you're new. I'm new at this. You're true to this, and when I talk about that, I mean like writing, and everything like that. So since what I've been struggling with within this last 2 years of really taking this skill and this craft seriously, where are you storing everything? And then also, because tell me, am I crazy? Because if you guys don't know, everything that I write, Myah edits it, of course, because it's the Zeal life. And I'm sorry, it's the Zeal edit. Make sure you check out both of our articles. But my question is, one, where are you storing everything? Do you store your articles? Because I think about when I first started and I was writing for a magazine here in Atlanta years ago. I'm kind of mad that I didn't save any of that stuff. Mm-hmm. And then do you ever go back and read?
Do they still have their platform?
No, the website's gone.
Okay.
So I'm clearly I have to take it and either have the doc or print it out, because the part of me is I want to print this out so my kids have it.
Yeah, definitely print as well. I think since I do have a lot of I have a lot of stuff that I wrote even in elementary school,
really?
On paper. Mm-hmm. When I got to college, that is where I do still have a lot of that work. There are a few pieces that I think about all the time that I cannot find. But I had a thumb drive.
Yes.
That's when, I'm old. So that's where I used to store a lot of my work. But then the thumbnail got, malfunctioned. And so anytime I would plug it into, that's when you would put it on USB.
Yes.
Anytime I would plug it into a computer, nothing was there. Or you couldn't access it. And so I lost a lot of some of the work that I was really proud of, but now I have most of it stored digitally.
Yeah.
Google Drive, a portfolio type situation. But yeah, definitely save your stuff. Print it as well.
I think that's what I'm looking at, because even a Google Drive situation, something like that, or even just putting it, like you said, on the thumb drive, but now a hard drive, a 500 gigabyte hard drive is just dedicated to writing and stuff. Because the issue, and the reason I thought about this is because sometimes when you're writing, you're trying to figure out other words for these words, essentially synonyms, right? Yeah. I don't know why I didn't say the actual word for that.
Yeah.
Trying to find synonyms, and I found myself Googling them a lot, but the part of me was no, I need to have a physical dictionary and a physical synonyms, antonyms thing, which made me think about, how am I storing my writing in general?
Yeah.
Because I'm also what I currently have is I'll have first edits, I'll have the draft and then what actually got posted, and then sometimes I'll go back and compare the two, and see what made this one, what was wrong with this one, to be blunt, what's wrong with this one versus what makes this one make sense. And then also, because what also interests me when people edit is if a voice gets lost.
Yeah.
And all of that.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great way to be thinking about it, for sure. Especially printing your work, because I don't know. I'm a proponent of, we don't know what they're going to do.
Yes.
We don't own the IPs to any
yes.
of our content. So anything you put out there, anything you store, and I know that's very conspiracy thinking, but you just never know.
That's real life, though. It's
what
real
they're
life.
gonna do.
There was just somebody, whether it was true or not, but The same way they can take away your Instagram and wipe everything from it. They can take websites and wipe everything. Like when, Kindle, Amazon was saying that they could, it was like this year, they were saying that they now have the right to just wipe books from your Kindle.
Yeah, I think we talked about that.
We did. On that episode. We did. We did. That was crazy. But as I get more into this craft, it really just makes me think in general, creatives as a whole, like, make sure you save your work outside of digital landscapes.
You have to.
There has to be a box somewhere of like all of your sketches, if you're designing, if you're writing, if you're being a photographer, like you have to have that, because I'm starting to, as we get older, there's moments that I'm like, oh, I wish I had something for that. Yeah. Like, I did do that. Yeah. Even when we think about like fibers and like past events, there's things that I completely forget that I did.
Yeah, that's true. The older we get,
I just move on completely from it. I'm like, but I did do that. And somebody has to like remind me. It's actually crazy. But yeah. It is. So besides that, what's your zeal for this week?
Girl. So this week I've been thinking a lot about, this is going to be sad. I've been thinking a lot about patriarchy. Okay. You know, and it's funny because as women, it's not something we're constantly thinking about, but it's something we live with on the day-to-day. You know, it's just like being Black. Like, we're not thinking about it, but it's like a part of our experience. Yes. And it made me think about this year and some of the work that's been coming out around the patriarchy. Yes. We went to see Is God Is together. Yes, we did. So that's a piece that we watched, and
that car ride home. I mean, you guys, hold on. So good. Myah was taking notes in the middle of the movie. The phone, the notes, her iPad, not her iPad, her iPhone was in dark mode. Because at first I'm like looking over, I'm like, is she texting somebody right now? Because we're watching a movie and it's pretty good. It was hands down one of the first 5-star movies I saw this year. Yeah. Hands down. So then I'm nosy, you guys. Like, I'm nosy with my friends. I'm not gonna lie to you. So I got a little bit closer. I said, "Oh, she's taking notes." Okay.
Yeah.
I said, okay.
Because you know when you're watching a piece of art versus like just something to entertain you. Yeah. And I didn't know really what to expect from Is God Is, to be honest with you. No, I just the trailer just looked really good. Yes. So watching it
remember when it first started and we both leaned over. I was like, is this spooky?
Right.
Is this a little scary?
I didn't know. Okay, right. I'm like, okay, so this is like a scary movie situation. Yes. But it ended up not being. Yeah. I think we came to the conclusion it felt more like a Kill Bill sort of.
Yes, it did. Yes. And honestly, spoilers. Yeah. But by this time, you should have saw it. So right. I can't help you with that one. Same way with Devil Wears Prada.
Absolutely.
You should have saw it by the time. You're good.
But there was a lot of things that stood out to me about the film. And so that's why I tied it back to the patriarchy, because that film, I think, has been the strongest when it relates, kind of touching on all these different subjects as it relates to being women. And so for me, one of the major keys of the film of Is God is mother or woman as God, right? Because that's clearly in the beginning where they're talking about, well, she birthed us. We come from her. So she is God, you know? And I thought that was an incredible way to explore how patriarchy has almost fooled us into thinking that we do not have power when we are so powerful. And if you look through the themes of the film, there's a lot of biblical themes. There's a lot of things around God's judgment. And so that's how I took sort of the overarching sort of messaging is these two women, these two sisters who are twins. And again, if you haven't seen the film, please, we're gonna do your research, right? But the twins, they are they're trying to find their dad so that they can essentially get vengeance on him for hurting them. And I also thought it was incredible how they made the decision to have the visible burns on their face and their body as almost a representation of domestic violence and the abuse that women have to endure. Yes. And they made it very jarring for you to see that. Yes. And that was a part of their character. And so they're seeking vengeance. They are trying to find their dad. And there's this dynamic between them that speaks in and of itself, has messaging. But they are essentially killing the patriarchy one step at a time, like quite literally killing them. But I also kind of saw that as like God's judgment. Women taking vengeance and taking their power back over the patriarchy. And so I just love a piece that has so many hidden gems. And so many. I could watch it over and over. And you're going to get something different every time.
It's definitely that type of movie, because even hitting on the twin aspect of it, and how for me that symbolism is like the inner battles you may have with yourself. Because they're twins, they look the exact same. So there was even a moment where she was like, if I'm stupid, you stupid, because we come from the same cell. So even that just really drove home this point of these inner conflicts that we have, just because one was like super emotional. And it was also interesting to me that she kept making fun of how emotional she was. Yeah. She kept calling her like, you're weak, you're this, you're this. And this woman that was more of like a vengeance driven, that sister was more talking about like, how can you not enjoy this? They hurt us. They hurt us. They hurt us. They hurt us. It was such a good movie, because even what do you think about the ending?
The ending to me felt more or less like, so we have the one sister who wasn't seeking vengeance necessarily. Yes. She wanted, you can tell she wanted restoration. She wanted connection and wanted to forgive. Yes. But she ends up being the last one standing. And we also hear during the film that she's going to have a baby. Yes. So they end with this. I'm giving away all the
as you should. As you should.
They end with a clip of her kind of looking into the camera, and they have this beautiful quote at the end. But to me, it kind of gave the taking back the power of. To me, it kind of gave the matriarchy of like, we killed the patriarchy. Also, the film had no guns. I thought that was an interesting way to go about it, too. There was no guns. But we killed the patriarchy, and here she is standing with her baby girl. And it's like the sort of continuation of that power. And so standing in the matriarchy. Yes. That's how I kind of interpreted that ending.
Yes. And because even when the sister died, because he pulled her back into the fire. My gosh. At first, like, we were like, oh, everybody, me, yes. You were like gripping each other at the shoulder. But as you walk away, it speaks to what vengeance can actually do to a person. And how even I can't think of what the lawyer said. Yeah. But like, he essentially said something along the lines of, when you seek vengeance, when you seek revenge, you don't dictate where the blood falls. Yeah. Like, you don't get to dictate that. And it's her dying was so representational of that. Yep. Of the fact that vengeance can kill you.
It can.
Vengeance can kill you.
It can. But I was
gonna say, what do you think about because when we talk about it being the patriarchy and like killing the patriarchy, how do you feel about like, not the woman on woman crime, but like how we have two different sides of motherhood, of women. Yeah. And because if you don't know, throughout the movie, as they're going to find their father, they go through the women to find him. Like the men, they're killing men, but there's somewhat a backdrop in the movie, in my opinion. Like, it's him that they're really looking for, which I would compare as the sons were treating him almost godlike as well.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah, they were treating him godlike as well. But it was the women that they were like moving towards that were able to like find them and whatever. But what do you think about that?
I love
just those two opposite sides of like women. I love
that question because to me, and I like how you set that up because I really think that a lot of women also uphold patriarchy.
Yes.
And so that's what they were exploring in those conversations, in those confrontations with each woman in the movie outside of them. So Janelle Monáe's character, for example, she was also being abused. She was also a victim. But in some ways, she's benefiting from she even said she married him because for the money and for for that, but she was also being abused as well. But in that same sort of way of thinking, she's looking down on other women who maybe have less than her or who may look a certain way. She has kind of put herself on a pedestal because of how she's dealing with her own abuse or how she got what she came for in terms of money, whatever it is, whatever she had decided in her mind that made her better then. I think in those moments where there was confrontation with the twins and Janelle, you can kind of see not only her looking down, but you can also see the moments where there's a connection there. Yes. Y'all are dealing with the same stuff. We're all living under the system of the patriarchy. I think some women do uphold it, but it ultimately that conflict between the two, I do see that there's often within our communities, within women's spaces, a lot of our conflict has to do with men. It's always having whether that be competition, whatever that case is. Usually the core has to do with something. It connects somehow back to the patriarchy.
It does most of the time. Yeah. Because even looking at Janelle, looking at Erica and her character and how, because clearly the movie is called "Is God Is," so religion is a big part of the movie.
Right.
It's a huge part of the movie. So to even see like her perspective and to see that altar that she made of the stuff that he left, it was funny, but it's like, no, women do that. Women do that. And how she was like, I'm still in all white waiting for you and this church is yours, blah, blah, blah. What do you think that part spoke to women and men in religion?
Ooh. Well,
I know that's a big question. Because it's, especially in the South, right? This movie takes place in the South, which I think is also important.
Yeah.
Because there's traditions, there's ways of living that the South upholds that the North does not.
Right.
And we can track it all the way back to slavery. We can do whatever we want to do with it. But there's a reason that we see sinners in the South. There's a reason that a lot of these movies are set in the South because it's somewhat based on the tradition and the values that Southern women and Southern men uphold. So what's your thought process?
Yeah, there's definitely. I love that metaphor of them using the altar, and I think they had like his deodorant that he used, like some old socks that he had,
like it's
something like a brush or something of his hairs in it, like it was on the altar.
Literally, they opened the thing and had purple and said, "Oh, like, what are you talking about?"
It's funny, but you're right. It also is quite literally what women who are upholding patriarchy do. And we see that a lot in the Black church, unfortunately. And it's a space that women should be able to go for comfort, for whatever it is that they're looking for that connection to a higher power. But oftentimes there's a lot of legalism, there's a lot of fundamentalism that goes into these organizations, which is really what they are. They're organizations that uphold certain agendas, And so especially patriarchy is one of those, upholding, even if they're abusers. You know, you see these women in your face, scarred up, abused, beat up, and your mission and your thought is to protect him. You don't want to give away where he is. You want to protect this abuser, and we see the protection of abusers all throughout our society.
We do.
We have a president, like, you know what I'm saying? And
we do.
Look where we are in the state of our society. We uphold it. Women uphold it as well. They protect it as well. And so that, I think, is a big part of why. Not that we can't hold other women accountable, but that is to say that a lot of what we are seeing is survival mechanisms operating within the patriarchal structure.
Yes, because the part with her that I just enjoyed so much is really film in general, when it takes the small things we do and it dramatizes it all the way out. Mm-hmm. So let's go, because I really enjoyed that altar scene.
Yes.
I truly enjoyed it. That was a good just scene. Because I do not think a lot of people understand the degree to which they hold on to things. Because even in my mind, I'm like, okay, that alters a dramatization of that. Mm-hmm. But if you still got his drawer, what you doing? Like, if you still got his box of stuff in the corner, what are you doing? Are you waiting for him to come back?
Right.
Like, let's actually explore that. Let's go a little bit deeper. Because even when she was talking to the sisters, and she talked about, like, oh, why do you think? I know you're probably thinking, why would I be with him through the trial?
Yeah.
And she talked about him like he's some weak lamb that you're trying to help out. And I see that a lot when it comes to women versus men and the trials that they go through and the manipulation that men do and how they use it to say, oh, I'm just this weak person. Oh. I just need help. I need you to pour into me for me to get better, for us to help. And then she's talking, and the lady's like, and the sister at the very end is like, hold on, you're talking about a man that set his kids on fire and left you while you was pregnant, and you waited for him to come back? And when she went off on her, I was like, thank you, girl. Thank you, because you're not making no sense. You're not, like, sometimes goes to work. Sometimes you probably experience this too. You're at work and you have to repeat back the outrageous stuff people are saying to you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so hold on. You're saying 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're like, oh well, I guess exactly.
Yeah.
Clock how stupid you are right now. Like sometimes people really need you to say it back to them for them to understand. But, like, of course she didn't get it. Even if she's in all white, like, that was crazy to me too.
It was so good, and I know we have to move on, but there's so many. There's one last thing I want to say on what you just said, because I literally wrote down male fragility, and that is such an important key to call out with this movie, because this is going to sound drastic, but it's truth. Women die over male fragility.
They do.
They literally lose their lives over hurting a man's ego. Their fragile ego. And I think we have learned for survival in some ways to ensure that we have learned to survive by appeasing the male ego.
Yes, 1,000%.
A lot of women, and a part of it. So when we talk about upholding patriarchy, there's like I mentioned earlier, there's a survival sort of aspect to that as well.
Yes.
Because we've been taught that if we do not, we're not safe.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Yeah. Because there's always, I think, within the movie, there's been times where there was a fragile man, and within 5 seconds, he turns. He was talking to the sister or whatever, and was like, oh, like, when we get back, we can be BFFs, girl. We can forget about all of this.
Right.
We can forget about all of this blood. It don't matter. We can move on from all of this. You can bring the baby back. It can be bouncing on my knee. We can have a great time, because grandchildren, they use grandchildren too.
Right.
We could do all of this type of stuff. Directly after slapped her, backhand, hard,
literally.
directly. And she was like, why are you? And then slapped her and did not talk about the wife. Said, you killed my sons. Because when you watch the movie, the wife is in the driveway, essentially, like, further out, but she's in the driveway. So if he's coming home, you run into the wife first.
Yeah.
So you see that, and then you get all the way to the house and you see the sons. So that slap was for the older son, and he was like, he could have been something. Yep. He was a jerk. He was. That's what he was. He was a jerk, and I guess he could have been like you. Exactly. You know, and that's what you wanted. Exactly. So I'm like, because even diving into how that small part of it and how these men give birth to men like them,
just like them,
and they raise them, and
proud of it,
happy,
proud of it. You see that your daughter, she's also your daughter, you're literally hitting her, all while defending and protecting your son, who you're upset because he's no longer here, and he was the smart one or whatever,
but literally wasn't abuser. Exactly, because you saw the way he treated his mom.
Yes.
An abuser and manipulator. Listen, there's so much within this movie. It was so good.
Much.
5 out of 5.
Most likely I've written something by now, so go read that. But
5 out of 5. Hands down.
Mm-hmm. What has your Zeal this week?
Well, that. Mm-hmm. So I'm a little hyped up. I should have what has my Zeal this week? It should be something with the patriarchy and how there's too many men in fashion right now owning stuff. But what I'm really thinking about is how we're at this time within the industry where I feel like indie brands are more important now than ever before. Mm-hmm. And when I say indie brands, I mean indie media outlets, indie fashion brands. Yeah. The people on my side are always talking about how fashion criticism has been so oversaturated within the market. Everybody gets on TikTok and just regurgitates the same information they heard somebody else say. Yep. So nobody brings anything new to the table. We're all just we're all just saying the same thing, especially within the fashion industry, because it's an industry that is so pivotal on selling a dream. Yeah. It's so pivotal because it's about vanity. I'm not going to lie. It's about vanity. And it's all subjective. And so there's so many different things that from the outside looking in, unless you're in this industry, because then you realize it's not about vanity quickly. Right. It is hard. It's hard work. But it's the thought that I think these people, once we filter it through and you get to the person that's your favorite creator, your favorite brand, I think their voice is more important now than it has ever been. And one of the reasons, a couple of the reasons that I think that is when we look at the brands and the outlets that have the money, that have the access and everything, there's a cost that comes with that. And right now, I feel like that cost outweighs everything else. It's for example, when we look at designers, right? We talked about it a little bit with Dior. When a designer enters a house, they have to uphold the house standards. So besides holding up the house standards, you also have to make sure that the brand is commercial enough to sell. Right. Because at the end of the day, fashion is a business. Yeah. Fashion is a business, it's a business, it's a business. So with that being said, we have a Demna who is now at Gucci. And when you look at his shows, you can still see him somewhat struggling to find his voice in the Gucci customer, which is why you'll look at his shows and you may see a lot of older references. You'll see a Tom Ford references, like that first show that he did was strictly Tom Ford Gucci. Yeah, you can see that, you can see that. So if designers don't have time to play at these houses, because that's what it was before. So that's how you get a Galliano, a McQueen, because the brand more so saw them as, you're really great, come do that for us. Come do that for us. And whatever happens. But we're so far, that's a whole other topic. We're so far gone from that era, which is why we won't get another Galliano. We're not going to get another Virgil. We're not going to get another McQueen, just because it's so commercial now. Yeah. So you look at that. So it's one of those things where you should be looking at indie brands more if you're trying to find designers that have an actual voice. Yeah. Which is why every time we have these conversations, I talk to creatives, I'm like, do it. You have to do it. You have to talk. I don't care if fashion criticism is oversaturated. I do a little bit because it's my field, so I do a little bit on a selfish way. But for the bigger picture, I don't care. Yeah. For the bigger picture, I'm like, do it, because we need those voices. And then even I think what we're doing, which you started, what you decided to do with the Zeal, edit the Zeal life, is so important, because when we look at media outlets now, if it's worse for media outlets, right? We all know what journalism is going through right now. Yeah. So it's way worse for media outlets because earlier this year, James Murdoch. Let me make sure I get the brands that he owns correctly. So James Murdoch essentially buys the New York Magazine. So with that comes The Cut, it comes Vulture, and it comes Intelligencer. That's a big word for Elmo. But I can't. Okay, so he owns those. That deal just went through. But the reason that that's so sinister is because of the companies his dad owns. Yeah. So his dad owns the Wall Street Journal, the New York Post, and he also owns the publishing company HarperCollins. Yeah. Which is crazy. So essentially, as of today, as of right now, all of New York's media, the important media, that half of it, if not all of it, is owned by one family. Yeah. That is crazy work. Because it's literally secession within our eyes. Right, yeah. We have a late night show host that just this year was his last show because of the things he was saying about Trump. Yeah. So these bigger brands, it's all politicized. It's all political. Yeah. So one thought that I'm having, and my question to you, because I want to hear your opinion on this: can you trust bigger brands at this point? I think I will say this. It's hard. It's not as black and I don't think it's as black and white as we try to make. Just like it's not. Whenever we try to politicize something and make it like, black, white, I do think there's some gray to it. But to answer your question, no, of course not. But I will say that if we as owners, as indie brands first of all, we as consumers, we as people who have money and are investing in these, because that's really where the power is. Yes. Is our pockets and our ability to spend on whatever those brands. You have to first and foremost support the indie brands. You have, if that is a value of yours, and we're saying we do not trust these larger conglomerates, we have to start supporting independent media, independent brands. Yeah. We always have these conversations, even on this podcast, around, like, there was a conversation earlier this year about Hanifa, and we've had conversations about Ami Collet, and what was the other brand there was another brand recently that had come under fire for some. It was a black-owned brand. But all that to say, though, is that yes, of course, we're not, we still can be critiqued, but I will say that we need to be supporting and making sure we are spending the money and engaging and sharing with if it's media, engaging and sharing with the content. Purchasing the print magazines or whatever it is that they're putting out. If it's the indie fashion brands, making sure you're supporting, sharing, doing that work. Yes. Because I don't trust larger conglomerates and these mega billionaires, but they have the money. They have. That's why I said there's some black and white, because they have the money. So if people are not supporting and not investing, but then we have these indie brands like the Zeal, and we can't afford to do X, Y, Z and to continue to run businesses, then the people with the money are going to come in, and that's what's going to happen. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so I think there is a responsibility to us, because I like to put the responsibility in some way back into the consumer, the viewer, the audience hand, because we do have power. Yes. And so I put some responsibility back in, because, like,
if that is the case, what are we going to do about it? And it has to be us kind of, again, supporting those independent brands.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, because when I think about that question for myself, I guess my first answer would be, I don't know when you could ever trust them.
Yeah.
That's my first question. But the fact that what's so alarming to me is how out in the open it is.
Yeah.
Because if you can do this out in the open, I have no idea what you're doing, like, behind closed doors.
Right, yeah.
That's what spooky ooky. Like, it's spooky time. Like, we all know that one family owns all of these media outlets within New York.
Yeah.
Which is the biggest capital. Like what are we talking about? That's where everything starts in America, is in New York. Yeah. If it's not cool there, baby, it's not gonna be cool nowhere. Right. To be honest with you, if you can't, they ain't gonna be there. But so it's so interesting to see that, and I just think which I've been saying for like the last maybe 2 years, that I think indie voices and indie outlets, designers are so important right now.
Yeah.
And they're so needed. So it always feels so heartbreaking when one closes. And even from the stance of, when I say indie, I even mean just your friend down the street. Like them too. Yeah. Like it gets to a point where, like, I'm advising everybody, listen, I'm like the camera for this one. Listen, take maybe 20% of your dollars, 20%, 30% of your dollars, and go find the indie version of that. Like, if it's a button-up striped t-shirt, go see what indie brand that's making it, and go support, and go, because also from a selfish side, from a fashion side, what's really tea is showing up in something that nobody else knows about. That's what's really tea. Was where you really.
I live for that.
To show up in something that you styled down.
Yes.
You styled it. You have a great taste, because that's another thing.
Absolutely.
That I think keeps people away from indie brands. And then we can wrap it up, is that I think that what keeps you away is you don't have taste.
Yeah.
You don't have taste, and you don't have style. So you
It's true. It's
so
true.
You wouldn't be able to support an indie brand, because they're not feeding you a trend.
Exactly.
They're feeding you something that is true to that designer. So I also question that if you feel like you can't support an indie brand, do you know how to dress? Do you know how to put a look together? I'm still like,
that's
do you actually know how to do that?
Yeah.
Because an indie brand will give you that, when an indie brand will present not a challenge to you, but it's not all on the mannequin. Or if you're a mannequin buyer. And if that's the case, that's the case. And I hate to be shady, but we could tell.
Yeah.
We could tell. I could tell when you just bought the look off the mannequin.
Right.
One, because I work in that industry, so I know what they put together. I know I know what they're putting on those mannequins. I know the formula to those mannequins, so I can look at an outfit and say, "Oh, that's a mannequin look." I see where you got that from. Yeah. Let's move on.
Yeah.
So that's my challenge to you, and I think you need to look inward to yourself.
Can you dress?
I think you need to look.
Can you put that shit on?
Cause can you? Can you? Because if you could, you could support any brand.
Yeah.
Because it also makes me think of like going shopping at the Real.
Yeah.
And how people hate the Real. The reason that you hate the Real and secondhand websites like that is because they're not feeding you a look.
Yeah.
You have to
do the work.
You have to do that work. You have to look at that sweater, because even when people talk about they can't afford designer, I can pull out my phone right now and show you a Prada skirt that is $10 on the Real. The thing about it is, you don't know how to put it together.
Exactly.
And the Real does not feed you that. Websites like that don't feed you that.
Yeah.
So that took a turn.
But those are good points. The points needed to be made.
They need to be made. I need to challenge yourselves. Y'all do. If you like this, you need to challenge yourself. Girl, you have to get out of that box.
You do.
I'm gonna let this go. But the other thing is, people are afraid to look ugly.
Yeah.
And you need to look ugly sometimes. Sometimes the outfit
won't hit every
sometimes
time.
the outfit won't hit.
That's a part of the creative process.
That's a part of the process. I say this all the time. If you never had bad taste, I do not trust you.
Yeah.
If you've never had bad taste to get good taste, I don't trust you. I want to see a bad outfit when you were in high school. I want to see it because you tried.
You tried
and you figured out what worked for you, and then you move forward. People that say they have always had good taste, they are lying to you.
Yeah.
They are lying out of their teeth. They had bad taste at some point. They don't talk about it.
It's true.
They had bad taste.
Yeah. It's true. No, all good points. No, and I agree. I mean, definitely to your point around, don't shy away from the indie brands for that reason.
Exactly.
Don't shy away from it. Get creative, and use Pinterest.
Yes.
Use Pinterest.
But then don't become a Pinterest dresser. Because I can see you too. I can see you too.
Create if you can create mood boards that kind of demonstrate what do you want to dress like? What do you want to feel like?
Yes.
And pull together some brands that speak to that. I love, I'm always in Kai Collective.
Yes.
She does a really good job at kind of building out a specific woman, and I just so happen to connect to that woman. And so do your research, find different brands. I'm always, instead of something I've challenged myself with, like going on vacation. I know like earlier in my 20s, I was always going to if I was going to go on vacation, I would go to Pretty Little Things, or I would, just buy bulk in some of those small, like the bikinis and all of that, like the basics. But now I challenge myself to find Black-owned independent brands. And that's how I ended up finding Kai Collective.
Yeah.
So, no, I agree. And to your point around media and where we are when it comes to, and it's not just in media, as you said, it's in fashion, it's in technology, it's in these billion-dollar one percenters are coming in and they are buying everything. They're buying everything. Gosh. I am seeing that they have to, though, especially within media, the switch has become that the writers, the journalists, while there is similar to the fashion houses, while there is a point of view that needs to be made, they're finding writers and creators that can speak to that voice and kind of giving a platform for them to have that voice. So if they're going to do it, they're still going to have the one percenters, the people buying them up, they're still going to have a responsibility to the people in order for it to maintain, because it's not going to work if you're not paying attention to what's happening. So there is this marriage between, when we talk about the collaborations of these independent artists and like you mentioned Gucci, these independent artists and these fashion houses, there's a responsibility for that collaboration. We're going to see these media brands become more of communities around a point of view, and you're going to be able to connect with different writers and creators within that umbrella and point of view. So it's going to create almost like an agency style sort of structure in how we're going into media. So I say that to say, if you're in journalism or even as a independent fashion brand, make sure you have both if you're going to have the job and work the 9 to 5, you need to also have your own brand. You need to be on social. You need to be building something for yourself, because when we talk about supporting indie brands and not supporting maybe a larger conglomerate, what does happen is those people who are feeding their families at the cut and all of these other publications that we love that have been around for so long, if they can't, if they cannot sustain, if they do not have the money to pay their workers, there's going to be layoffs. People are going to lose their jobs. Yes. And so if we want to continue journalism, they need the money to sustain it. Now, where they get the money is another question. There are other ways and avenues that money can got. That's another conversation for itself. But if the mega billionaires are coming in, we have to hold them accountable to how they are maintaining these structures. And to the point I was going to say is that what happens is the journalists, the writers, they lose their jobs. So if they have also a platform or a voice outside of their role,
yes,
then you have something you still can, I hate the word fall back on, but it's something else that you're still kind of upholding and leveraging in your career. You're not just depending on this one source. So that's why I would say, because it is a twofold when we're talking about corporate, those are people's jobs, you know, so they need the money in order to sustain. But be smart, be strategic. Also have something else that you can kind of, like you said, leverage.
No, that's tea. That's tea. I completely agree.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you. You need, at this point in the world and everything, your job just isn't enough.
Yeah.
You have to have something going on for yourself outside of your job. And to be honest, you'll probably be a better, more pleasurable coworker to work with. I could tell people ain't got nothing going on. I could tell. Oh. You have to put that energy somewhere else, and you need to put it into yourself. Mm-hmm. Create something outside of your job. So if anything happens, no matter what's going on, you have something that you can leverage. Like you said, you have something there, so you're not chaotic or like whatever. But yeah, just have something else. My advice to everybody: always have something else to work on.
Absolutely. So make sure you're doing that, and as you go and as you are starting your brands, and especially to our independent creators, you want to ensure that you have a plan, you have a support system, and you have a system for yourself so that you can sustain that brand. And in this episode, we're going to be talking more about the discipline and consistency it takes to sustain brands. And we really wanted to focus on this because in this season, we are really stretching not just the creator and starting, but how do you sustain and run a business? Yes, you know, how do you sustain and run your creative endeavor? So consistency and discipline. Yeah. So let's get into that. We can start. I'll ask you. Where do you think where's the line between discipline that serves your work and stifles it? And I'm going to frame it just a little bit. Okay. So discipline, as we know, you do with discipline, it's something that you have to build for yourself. You're essentially building out a system so that you can get things done and hit your goals. Yes. And but oftentimes with discipline can come sort of a monotony or a routine. Yes. And that can be stifling in and of itself. Yeah. So where do we draw the line between what serves your work versus what's going to stifle that?
That's a good one. Because I think discipline is, like you said, discipline is looked at as like more of like a routine structure. And how I think about discipline, it's more so about like setting up systems so I can be on autopilot. Yeah, yeah. Like setting up systems that take care of themselves. And I don't mean that in a AI way. I mean that in like a like, I don't mean to be clear. I don't mean that. Yeah. I mean like systems within my body that makes sense. Yeah. So every morning, how do I start off my morning in a way that I know will sustain me? Right. Yeah. Like that's what I think about when I think about discipline. So like in the morning, because I'm not necessarily a wake up and eat girl. Like I'm different from today, but I'm not necessarily a wake up and the first thing I do is I need to eat. Yeah, yeah. That's not me. Like I probably won't eat. I'll probably have like a snack, but I won't actually eat until like 10, 11 or whatever. Okay, yeah. But I know people that they wake up and the very first thing they do is make breakfast. Because they know for a fact making breakfast is a discipline that they need in their day to survive. So when we talk about when does it start to hinder you, my first thought with that, if we're talking about discipline and how you work, my first thought would be having too much time around thinking. That would be my first thought.
Yeah.
Like if we're planning something, if we're making a plan to achieve, and this is the discipline that I need to do to get there, if we think it too long at the beginning.
Yeah.
To me, that's going to hinder you.
Yeah.
Two, my next thought process is when you have a routine, when you have a system, you have to leave free space in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to leave free space to be able to do things. So, because you know me, I'm very rigid. I'm a very rigid, type of person.
Yeah.
And I was like that. But what I started to realize is that way of thinking about a system and consistency was hindering me because I didn't leave myself space to just breathe and think.
Yeah.
I was like, I got 2 more minutes and then I need to be doing this.
Oof.
I have 3 more minutes and I need to be doing this. So I will say just first thing is, of course, knowing yourself. We talk about that so much on this podcast. I feel like every episode we talk about knowing yourself, but it's so important.
That's like
it's so important. And understanding what works for your body.
Yeah.
Because also, and I can't wait to hear your answer for this, because also it makes me think of like consistency looks different from everybody else. Too.
Yeah.
So I know for me, consistency is doing the same thing, not day in and day out, but waking up and before I go to bed, I'm like, okay, I'm thinking these were the goals that I wanted to hit. What did I do for the Zeal life today? What did I do for this today? What did I do for this?
Right.
And even if it's just like sharing the post.
Right.
I did something.
You did something.
I did something for it. But I know other people that they work in big batches.
Yeah.
So they work in a way that their consistency looks like putting a lot of energy right here, then resting.
Yeah.
Putting a lot of energy right here and resting. And that's consistency for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, but what do you think? What's your answer to
that? Those are good points. And the thing about discipline and consistency is important because we talked about motivation in our last episode.
Yes.
And it's really good to have discipline because when you don't have, how I frame it, when you don't have motivation, when you're tired, at least you have something, a system that you can fall back on.
Yes.
You know, and it becomes a habit that you can build. My thing when it comes to the question around can it hinder the work if you are so disciplined, if it becomes such a routine for you that you start to feel, whatever that goal is, you start to feel a plateau. You know, we see that, and I always use the gym as like a metaphor, but you see that often even in gym.
Yeah,
like
you're right. You're right.
You start something, you have discipline, you get your results, and then suddenly you stop seeing that growth.
Right. Yes.
And you're like, oh, it's time to change the system. It's time to change or tweak something so that you can hit that next level. It's actually a good thing because it means that you hit your goal.
You conquered that system.
You conquered it.
Yes.
So now it's time to level up. And
You're
with
right.
that leveling up, it's time to reassess what that discipline and consistency looks for you in this new season, in this new level that you're at. Because it's going to present new challenges for you. And that thing is then going to require you to get locked in discipline. And that's literally how you grow. That is what that looks like. It's going to require you to get uncomfortable again. So we get comfortable, we get disciplined, we have these routines and systems. They feel safe. We got it. We locked it in. And then sometimes we get stuck there. But you have to understand yourself and know when it's time to level up.
That's so magical. Like, yeah. That's such a great way to frame that because even sitting here, I never thought about it like that before when it comes to the term of like the gym. Mm-hmm. Because I think sometimes when we talk about situations, these things that are so, I always say frou-frou, but they're not tangible.
Yeah.
There are things that are not tangible. How do we put it in words that makes it tangible so it makes it make sense? Yeah. That's how I always think. That's how I think.
And I love you're very practical in how you approach it.
Thinking about it as a gym, because I'm thinking about my own gym journey.
Yeah.
And how now I got to a point where I was like, I have to incorporate different things now. So now I need to go to a Pilates class. Right. So now I understand what this Pilates class is pulling in and like the not the skills, what's the word? The core values of Pilates and how they execute it. So now I'm like, oh, I'm able to take that class and pull it into my gym routine. And now my gym routine was completely different. So I think I love the fact that you said that so much, because I think plateauing and getting stable is a great way to think of, I need to add something else into this. Because when I plateau, I think, girl, you're not doing enough. Like, I get mad at myself. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, why are you plateauing? What is this? Like, I think the system, that's so crazy. I think the system didn't work. When I plateau, I literally think the system did not work. And it's so reframing it in the thought of, no, it did work. You just have to add something. You leveled up. Even thinking that is like, oh, reframing that makes you so proud of yourself.
Exactly.
Man, that's so smart.
Yeah, because it helps to maintain that discipline, because you need that confidence and that trust in yourself in order to continue. You know, you have to know that you're going to show up for yourself. So it's good. And I wanted to touch on what you mentioned earlier too about how people process discipline. You mentioned how some people work in batches.
Yes.
And that's such a good point. And then how some also, like you said, even yourself, if you knock out one thing, that's progress. Yes. And I think that's also such a really healthy and a really great way to think about discipline and consistency. Sometimes our goals can seem so big that it becomes intimidating to even start or have or build a system. But starting small is important. There's a book that you gave me years ago, Atomic Habits by James Clear, that I read, that actually was very helpful in sort of this conversation. So if you have not heard of that book, read it, definitely read it, because it speaks to something that we're talking about. And a big piece of what James talks about in the book is he talks about how you can build discipline in small ways. So that compound habit. Yes. So building, we hear that in investing all the time. You start small and the money rolls over and it becomes bigger. Yes. So it's the same thing when you have a thing that you can commit to every day. Even if it's tiny, if it's small, low lift, low effort, then you can, if you're doing that over time, you will eventually see a change. Yes. That's literally what that compounding looks like when we're talking about consistency.
Because then I love that, in fact, that you bring that back up, because I feel that in the day-to-day on some things, and I feel like I'm missing something in my day. Yeah. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I do this one thing every single day. What's missing? I'm like, I didn't do that. So then I go back and do that. And also, what this conversation is reminding me of when it comes to discipline and consistency. I don't know if you've seen this lately. Have you seen the press run for a Scary Movie?
I haven't seen the press run.
Okay, so I haven't seen the press run. I love watching interviews. I don't know why, but I love watching interviews. So Marlon Wayans and Sean Wayans have been doing all these interviews. Okay. And people, every interviewer typically asks Sean where he's been. Like, where are you doing? What's going on? I'm like, Marlon's been doing all of this stuff. And Sean had this comment where he said, I like to work at a healthy pace for me. And he says, so I enjoy chilling. I enjoy doing that. And then Marlon's on the opposite hand making jokes, of course, because they're both making jokes. Yeah. But Marlon is like, no, I'm working. I'm working every single day. I'm doing stuff every single day. He's like, if I stay still, I feel like I'm not doing something. Which, them being brothers. Yeah. And being on opposite sides of the coin, it's really vital to understand that about yourself. But I think the biggest thing with consistency is that because it looks different from everybody else, it's just making sure you do it over and over again. Because where I see people who, because I know a ton of people that are the do one big thing, rest, and then do another big thing. The issue for them is in that rest, they see everybody else working every day and they get discouraged. So then them doing that big next thing takes so much time. Yeah. Where I'm just like, no, if you would just do the big rest, because that's your consistent schedule, that's your consistent system, you need to go do that. But it kind of, what I've seen happen is they kind of feed themselves this story that they're not consistent because it doesn't look like what we typically think consistency looks like. And then they get discouraged and then they don't do it, where I'm just like, no. Your system just looks different. It looks different. And you should still do it. And you should still, it's just about waking up and whatever for that time frame, doing the same thing. And trying the same thing. I'm like, yeah.
Absolutely. And it goes back to knowing yourself.
It does. It always.
And don't, and I know it's hard to say, like, don't compare yourself. We hear that all the time. It's hard, I know, in this space, but it's important. It's an important discipline to have. You have to set up the boundaries for yourself in order to not compare, to knock you off track. And
exactly.
So if you want to maintain that discipline, a piece of that strategy is maintaining not being distracted in those moments, if you're somebody that works the way you're saying.
Exactly.
I think those are great points.
So question for you, when we're talking about systems and we're talking about consistency and discipline, when you're starting off the journey of, I want to be consistent and I want to be disciplined, how do you start that for yourself? Like, what do you do? Yeah, how do you start that for yourself? Like, if you're starting from scratch or you realize that you're not disciplined and you're not a consistent person, how do you start that?
Well, I like this question. I do think, because you know me, I'm always like, we're such individuals.
Yes.
So for me, how I approach, first of all, if it's something that I know I care about, whatever the goal is, or when I'm trying to approach consistency, discipline. So if it's the gym and I know I need to be consistently working out, whatever that looks like, it's starting with myself and knowing what it is that I know I'm not going to do. I know I'm not going
no, that's fact.
I know I'm not going to do this after work. I know I'm not going to do it after work. That's me right now in this season.
Yes.
Because I'm doing a lot of work.
Yes.
So when I'm done, I want to rest. So because I know, but this is still a goal I am going to achieve and I want to achieve, I care about it, I'm going to set boundaries in place for myself so that I do get it done. And for me, I'm using an example of working out, is that just getting up earlier. So I'm going to leave myself at least 2 to 3 hours prior to starting work that's going to be dedicated to journaling, working out, and just getting my mind set together.
Yes.
And so I do that and make sure I hit at least 3 to 4 times that I'm doing that in a week. So it's creating, and I know I'm going to do it, and I have no excuse to do it because it's before work. It's when I have the most energy.
Yes.
It's usually in the mornings in that particular time. And so I know I'm going to be able to do it, but it starts with knowing what I know I'm not going to do.
That's true.
I'm not going to set myself up to fail. If I know and you can apply this to whatever that looks like for your situation, but you don't want to do something that you know yourself, you're not going to do it. Don't set yourself up for
you're not going to do that. You know you're not going to do that.
A system you're not going to commit to. It has to in some ways feel like you can accomplish it.
Yes.
It has to feel doable.
Yes, because even thinking about that, and still, let's just go ahead and use the gym as an example.
Yeah.
Like, for me, my system was I did it before work. Right? Work got chaotic. There was once a time where I was in a season where I would do it during lunch.
Yeah. Wow.
I would go to the gym during lunch.
Yeah.
I can't do that anymore because people are calling me during lunch. And I remember trying that, and I'm like, why are y'all calling me?
Right. Yeah.
Like, but it's phone calls, and like I know people may be thinking, just don't answer the phone. I know that's not me.
Girl, yeah.
I know that's not me.
Yeah.
I know myself well enough to know that if you call me, even when I'm on my lunch break, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna pick up. That lunch break gonna be extended though. now I am back on the clock for 15 minutes, so we are gonna add 15 minutes on the back end, right? Yes. But I also know myself well enough, like you said, I'm not gonna work out after work either. I'm not going to work out after work.
Yeah.
And so it is a morning thing for me.
Yeah.
I have to do it in the morning or I'm not going to do it. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to do it at all. And that's okay. I really love starting off with what you're not going to do. I think to answer that question for myself, I like things, period. I like books. I like clothes. I like earrings. I like things.
Yes.
I love a tangible thing, and I'm not capitalism be getting me. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I love a thing. So I typically work based off like reward systems. Yeah. That's typically what works for me. Okay, yeah. So I'll say, okay, Karina, if you go to the gym 5 times this week, you can buy that you could buy that workout set. You could buy that workout set on Nordstrom. So like what's in your wish list? You can go buy that, girl.
I love that.
But you have to go to the gym 5 times or you can't buy it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to the gym 5 times because there's been moments where I'm like, I'm gonna get this regardless. Right. But I'm going to go. Like I'm going to make it worth it. Or even with that being said, because I like reward systems before I start a system, which is a habit I'm trying to get myself out of. Yeah. But before I start something, I typically buy all the products for that thing. So I will start this system, I'll go buy this, but I'm trying to get out of that. So maybe I'll do that system. Yeah. But rewards make really well for me. So like, for example, another thing is I think this week or next week, I'll be at 100 days of reading. Ooh. And I told myself, if I got to 100 days, that wish list is gone. That wish list cleared, okay? It's clear. It's done for. Yes. It's done. And I'm so close. I'm so close. But I work really good off of reward systems. Okay. And then even on the small... That's a good one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, even on the small scale of I can't go here until I do this. Yes. Yeah, I do that too. I can't go out to eat. And Myah will tell you, I love a good out to eat session. Yes. I love a good drink. I love a good brunch, the tapas. Yes. The appetizers, then the entree, no dessert afterwards. But the appetizers, the entrees, the 2 drinks on the side, all of that. And then the talking session afterwards it's my bag. Live for it. It's my bag that I stay in. Yeah. So I'm like, no, girl, if you really love that, you cannot do this until you go do that. Yeah. So I typically work really well off of like reward systems. Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yeah. So it's all about just finding what works for you. So with that being said, I think we covered a lot of great things for consistency and discipline and really reframing what that looks like. So what's your footnotes for this episode?
Yeah, I think my footnote, I'm just going to reiterate on not allowing your goals to intimidate you. Okay. And if you are somebody that is intimidated by your goal, which is good, I believe you should have big goals for yourself. Don't be intimidated. If that's something on your heart, if that's something that you know you want to do, you can. You want to tackle and create a system and set yourself up for success by tackling it in small segments. Mm-hmm. Start small. And if you do that, you can then build discipline. And over time, you will get to where you need to be. It's going to require patience. And that's something that I know some of us struggle with. Mm-hmm. But if you have the patience, you'll get there.
For my footnote, I'm actually going to steal what Myah said because you guys, I'm writing this in my journal. As soon as I go home, I am journaling bad about that. But plateauing is a good thing. Yeah. Plateauing is a good thing. Getting bored, because that may look differently, but plateauing is a great thing. It means that it works. Yeah. It means that what you did worked. I love that so much. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's my footnote.
Okay, period. Yay. Yes. All right, y'all. Thank you for tuning in. This is season 2, episode 4. Yes. Please make sure you like, subscribe, share, comment. Let us know what you think. 5-star review. Don't forget that. 5. And also make sure to check out the Zeal edit too. This is the Zeal Life Pod. We have the Zeal edit where we have a lot more content for you to dive into. But we will see you at our next one.